Good morning. Welcome back to Pause and Grace. Sometimes the most meaningful lessons in life don't come from long conversations or carefully planned moments. They come from something simple, a sentence someone says in passing that quietly settles into your heart and stays there. It might not seem important at the time. It might not even sound like much when you first hear it. But years later, you'll realize carried more wisdom than you understood in the moment. Life has a way of shaking things we thought were steady. Plans change, circumstances shift, seasons come that we never expected to walk through. And in those moments, we start asking deeper questions about what really holds us up when everything around us begins to move. That's what today's Pause and Grace is about. It's about where our lives are planted and why the strength of a tree isn't found in the branches that you see, but in the roots that you don't. It was after church one Sunday, the time when everyone is standing around and saying their highs and byes before heading home. People are talking in little groups, kids are running around. Someone is finishing a conversation they started before the service, and others are already halfway out the door but stop to say one more goodbye. I was doing the same thing, just talking with people for a minute here and there, and my uncle came by to say hello. He's a pastor, and even though I hadn't said much about what I was going through, he knew I was struggling. Some people have that gift. Maybe he heard from someone else, I'm not sure. But they notice things that you don't say out loud. But he didn't sit me down and give me a sermon. He didn't quote a bunch of scripture or make a big deal out of anything. He just smiled and said, "Hey girl, it's good to see you." We talked for a minute, just normal conversation like people do after church. Nothing heavy, nothing dramatic. And when he turned to walk away, he paused for a second. He turned back towards me and he said something that has stayed with me ever since. He said, "Plant your roots in God, girl. It doesn't matter what happens to the tree above as long as the roots are deep." And then he just walked away. And I knew exactly what he meant. Because life has a way of changing what the tree above looks like. Storms come, seasons change. Sometimes the branches look strong, and sometimes the leaves fall. But when the roots are deep, it doesn't matter what the leaves look like. When you think about a tree, a lot can happen to it over the course of its life. Storms come through and shake it. Strong winds bend the branches. Lightning can strike it. Drought can dry it out. Some seasons strip every leaf from it and it looks bare and lifeless. And in the winter, a tree can look like there's nothing left at all. But the amazing thing about a tree is that what you see above ground doesn't always tell the whole story. Because when the roots are deep, it doesn't matter what the leaves look like. Life can feel a lot like that sometimes. Storms come into our lives that we never saw coming. Seasons happen where things fall away. There are times when life feels dry, uncertain, or stripped down to almost nothing. And from the outside, it might even look like the tree isn't doing very well. But it's what's happening in the roots. The Bible actually speaks about this picture very clearly. In Psalms chapter 1, verse 3, it says, "And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. That verse describes a life that's planted close to the source. A tree by the water doesn't panic when the weather changes because its roots know where the water is. Storms can come. The wind can shake the branches. Even the leaves may change with the season. But the life of that tree, it isn't dependent on what the weather is doing above ground. It's dependent on where the roots are reaching below it. A tree by the water may face the same storms as every other tree in the field. The difference is its roots know where the source is. And when your life is planted in God, the same things begin to happen. Storms may still come, seasons may still change, and there may even be times when the leaves don't look the way you hoped they would. But when your roots know where the living water is, the tree keeps drawing life. In Jeremiah chapter 17, verses 7 to 8, it says, Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth out her roots by the river. Notice what it says. The heat still comes. The difficult seasons still happen. But the tree survives because its roots reach deeper than the drought. When you think about it, a tree goes through a lot in its lifetime. The branches can snap from storms, the leaves can be stripped away, and it can shake the entire trunk. And life has storms like that too. Seasons of loss, heartbreak, stress, or unexpected changes that shake everything we thought was steady. Sometimes lightning strikes a tree. One sudden moment can split it right down the middle. Life has moments like that too. Shocking events that change everything in an instant. And yet, even after that, some trees heal and keep growing. Wind can push a tree so hard it bends almost to the ground. In life, that can look like pressure, criticism, fear, or circumstances that feel overwhelming. But when the roots are deep, a tree can bend without breaking. Then there are the winners. Seasons when every leaf falls away and the tree looks bare and lifeless. Life has seasons like that too. Times when we feel empty, tired, or spiritually dry. But winter doesn't mean the tree is dead. It's just a season. Fire can even pass through a forest and burn parts of the tree. Life has trials that feel like that. Painful seasons that seem destructive. And yet many trees grow again even after the fire has touched them. Sometimes branches are cut off. The tree is pruned. In life, that can look like things being removed, relationships, habits, opportunities, plans we thought would always be there. But pruning often makes a tree grow stronger. People even carve things into trees, initials, names, marks that stay there for years. Life has moments like that too. Words that people say, they can sometimes leave scars. Some marks stay visible, but the tree keeps growing around them. Sometimes it isn't big things that weaken a tree, it's the small things: insects, disease, tiny problems that slowly wear it down over time. Life has those too: small doubts, negative voices, toxic influences that slowly drain our strength. And sometimes a tree is moved, dug up, and replanted somewhere completely new. That can be stressful for the tree at first, but over time, the roots adapt, grow deeper, and the tree begins to thrive again. Trees don't just face what nature brings, people interact with them too. People hang swings from the branches so children can laugh and play beneath them. Sometimes trees grow fruit that feeds people. Some trees provide shade where someone can sit and rest on a hot day. A tree can become a place of comfort without even realizing it. Same with life. We can be used. We can become someone's comfort. Not every tree is seen the same way. Some trees are admired and cared for. Others are ignored and even seen as useless. Some grow crooked. Some have scars. Some don't look perfect compared to others around them. And yet, even a tree that isn't considered perfect still has life in it. It still grows. It still stands through the seasons. And sometimes it becomes something meaningful in ways nobody expected. Something else about trees, and you don't even see it unless the tree is cut or the wood is exposed. Inside the trunk of every tree are rings. Those rings tell a story of the tree's life. Each ring represents a year it survived. Some years the ring grows thick because the conditions were good. Other years the ring is thin because the tree struggled. Sometimes those rings show scars where the tree was injured. But it doesn't stop growing because of those scars. It grows around them. Over time, those difficult seasons become part of the tree's story. Our lives can look a lot like that too. There are seasons where growth comes easily, and there are seasons where the rings might be a lot thinner. But every season becomes part of the story, and the tree keeps growing. Something else about the tree that most people never think about is the part they can't see. Because the most important part of the tree isn't the trunk, it's not the branches, and it's not the leaves. It's the roots. All the work the roots do happen underground. Nobody sees them growing, but that quiet growth is what keeps the trees alive. Colossians chapter 2, verse 7. Rooted and built up in him and established in the faith. Faith in God can look a lot like that. Some of the most important growth in our lives happens in quiet places where nobody else sees it. It happens in the moments when we pray and nobody hears it but God. It happens when we trust Him in seasons that don't make sense yet. That kind of growth may not always be visible to the world, but it's what gives our lives stability when the storm comes. When I think back to that moment after church, it still amazes me how something so simple stayed with me for so many years. My uncle didn't preach a sermon that day, and he didn't give me a long explanation. He just simply turned back and said, "Plant your roots in God, girl. It doesn't matter what happens to the tree above, as long as the roots are deep." And the longer I live, the more I see the wisdom in those words, because life really does shake the tree above ground. Storms come, seasons change, sometimes branches break, sometimes the leaves fall, but the tree keeps growing, ring by ring, season by season. And the reason they survive everything they go through isn't because nothing ever happens to them, it's because their roots are deep. And faith works the same way. When our lives are rooted in God, storms may still come. There may be seasons where the leaves don't look the way we hope they would, but the source of life is still there, quietly sustaining us, quietly strengthening us, quietly helping us grow. Because when your roots are planted in God, it doesn't matter what the leaves look like, the tree will keep growing. The truth is, every life will face storms. There will be seasons when the wind is strong, when the branches bend, when the leaves don't look the way we hoped. There will be moments that shake us, seasons that stretch us, and times when growth is happening so quietly that no one else even realizes it. But when your roots are planted in God, those seasons don't define the end of the story. They become part of the growth, part of the strength, part of the life that continues to rise up from beneath the surface. So, wherever you find yourself today, whether the tree above ground looks strong and full, or whether it feels like a winter season where everything else seems bare, remember this: plant your roots deep. Because when your life is rooted in God, the storms may come, the seasons may change, and the leaves may fall, but the tree will keep growing.